What is up, everybody? It's Logan here from Survivor LU. I am joined by the most recent eliminated player, Dawson. Dawson, how you doing, bro?
Let's go. I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Heck yeah. So, hey, we're going to break down, do a little deep dive of Dawson's game, see what he was thinking through different parts of the game, and kind of see where his head was at as we went through. First, we're just going to start off with that first day, walking up to see your new tribe, seeing those people in red, seeing those people in blue. What were your first impressions as you met everybody that day?
Yeah, I remember getting the call before that I was going to be on the show, and then all the instructions on where to meet and whatever. And you gave like such a big leeway. You guys were like, you can show up like anytime before. And I was like, what's the perfect amount of time so I don't show up early and be like casted as a try hard,
Yeah.
or like I don't want to be too late because then people are like, oh, he doesn't. So like even at the get-go, I'm like, what are people gonna think of me?
Yeah.
And the way you guys set it up too was like you divided us, like you had us wear red and blue going
Mm-hmm.
into it. And so I got there kind of in the middle of the pack, probably near the end. But I remember getting there and the two colors were already divided. And I remember saying, I think to maybe Ellie or Nicole, somebody that like right away, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, so I'm not gonna mingle with the other people. And like right off the bat, like there was like they didn't even respond to me. Like, and I was like, should I ask that question? Like, I don't want to be like the outcast already, but I was wondering, I was like, why are people not mixing? But I remember thinking, everybody on the red tribe seems so cool. Especially I was scared of MJ at first because she right off the
Really?
bat said, I want to be a lawyer. And I was like, whoa, whoa, this girl's got big ambitions.
Yeah.
Uh, and then so I was scared of her. And then I was also scared of Sam, just because Sam's personality,
Mm-hmm.
super kind of direct and serious. And he was just kind of like trying to take control, I think, from the get-go. And everybody was kind of like looking to him to like make the choices and be the voice of the tribe at the first
Yeah.
week. And so everybody else though seemed super nice. I really connected with Nicole. And yeah, those are my impressions. The other tribe, I automatically thought that they were kind of the weaker tribe.
Okay.
I thought Luke was a stud. He was wearing that like athletic blue like skin tight shirt. I was like, okay, buddy,
Uh-huh.
you're hard. But then the funny thing about Luke is he wore that shirt and then like he was like the athletic guy, like sprinting the challenge, like whatever. But then like you see him walking around campus with like a stroll along backpack. Like, so the other tribe, yeah, we constantly made jokes about how we were the superior tribe. But yeah, I first off the bat, like those are my impressions. So
No, yeah. So we saw in that first challenge, we have that temptation twist, and no one from Tigers takes it. What do you think that kind of did for your tribe, and what was the vibe after that? Just kind of to build up the camaraderie in that team.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely wasn't sure if people were gonna take it or not. Like I said, I didn't know if I could trust Sam right off the bat. People
Yeah.
seemed a little bit suspicious, but I think knowing when you revealed that our tribe, like nobody had taken it, it just creates, like you said, camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
And the other tribe, while initially they might have had distrust or mistrust, I don't know what the word is, while they might not have been able to trust each other at the beginning, I think them going to tribal council more times and having to test their loyalty and
Yeah.
actually see, I think that in the long run benefited them, just because they knew that they could trust each other. Whereas we only went to tribal one time and the
Mm-hmm.
vote that we had was kind of unanimous, even though
Yeah.
there was split votes on Nate, like it was pretty unanimous. And so I don't know. I think in the long run, I think while we could trust each other at the beginning and we all were like fun and games and even I showed up and I didn't really want to play for like the first couple weeks. I
Mm-hmm.
was people like pinning a target on my back. But I think it would have done us a little bit of benefit. I don't know if that's a correctly phrased sentence,
Yeah.
but I think it could have benefited us to maybe have somebody take it or like maybe gone to tribal council more because
Yeah.
when we got to the merge, I really didn't know how much people were going to stay true, you know?
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. So at the beginning, we saw Tigers really were super strong in the challenges and everything like that. But then, of course, you guys did go to that tribal one time, and things blew up with Nate, who you were starting to become closer aligned with Nicole as well, was kind of on the side with Nate, and then of course MJ, who you were also close with, was kind of opposed. Where did you kind of see yourself falling in that? And if it continued to play out, where do you think you would have headed with Nate, Nicole, or that MJ side? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I knew that the position I was in, I was connected with everybody. Like there was nobody that really didn't like me, and so I knew like at some point I'm gonna have to make a decision. But my kind of strategy was like, let's just be fun and games, and then later on, maybe somebody will approach me, and I'll just be like used as a number. Like I didn't want to be seen as that person.
Yeah.
And I was just seen as somebody that people liked and that nobody would want to vote out. But I knew eventually if the game continued that I would have to kind of decide. And so I think that week I noticed kind of that Nate, I noticed two things. One, Sam was super like very, very ambitious player. Nobody really liked him. But then there was like Nate, who was also very, very ambitious. He was just really upfront with what he was doing, whereas Sam might have been a little bit like behind the scenes or tried to be behind the scenes. And so like I knew that would maybe get me in trouble if I was to keep associating with Nate, just because like you kind of have to be aware of like who you're aligning with. Aligning with, yeah, that's what I said. Because if you're with somebody that other people don't like, then you're kind of guilty by association. And so like if it was to continue, I had kind of decided in my mind, like if we were to go to tribal a second week after that, before the switch or whatever, I probably would have just kind of cut my ties with Nate and said bye-bye. Because one thing too, it could have benefited me is me, Nate, and Nicole were kind of a three. And so later on, I didn't know whether Nicole was closest to me or to Nate. And so by cutting him out of the picture, I automatically make her like depend on me more. And so I think that could have been more beneficial for my game. But I don't know. I really was close with everybody, so it's hard to say. There were talks sometimes, like me and MJ would talk and say like, we should just like, when we get to the merge, like, and we have all the majority numbers, which obviously didn't happen, but we were thinking of like playing out a scenario where we just make fake drama and like we get Garrett to the end and get him to win, but really like that didn't happen. But I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. So you can
yeah. So in that sense, in that very early pre-merge kind of spot, I think we definitely saw it change as the game went on. But would you have said that MJ was your closest ally or Nicole at that point?
In the pre-merge spot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Nicole was always the closest pre-merge. She would always like, we couldn't really record this just because we were like talking on the phone, but like I'd say like 3 or 4 times a week she would be calling me and just like explaining what had happened and what went down. And it's cool because like later on I wasn't sure like who she was closest to. We were texting, like just watching the show back, and we were texting and she was like, she sent me one of the confessionals that she had saved from her camera roll, and it was just saying like how she was so sad she was gonna have to vote me out because like I'm a competitor and I would win the game, but like I'm also a friend. And so I don't know, just seeing that and like the confessional said, like Dawson's been like my closest like throughout the whole game. And like, I don't know. I think it's hard, like you don't really see that on the screen. Like you didn't see, especially the last couple of weeks, you didn't really see like me and Nicole being close. And near the merge, I think I started getting closer to Ellie and MJ too. But yeah, I would say pre-merge, Nicole was my go-to, my ride or die. So
sweet. So as we moved on in the game, we had this swap that split. I think you had the confessional. You were not expecting that it was going to be 3 tribes. You're stuck 50-50, you and Megan, who I'm guessing is maybe one of the people that you weren't as close with on that Tigers tribe at all. and then you had Luke and Liz. Whenever you saw kind of how the tribes were split down, what were your first impressions, first thoughts? Kind of what did you think about that whole situation?
Yeah. So you said drop your buffs, which I dropped it, and then I eventually put the bandana back in my pocket because I love bandanas. Got to keep the hair in a.
There you go. Yeah, especially those locks.
Yeah. But I immediately, like, we were formed into our new tribes, and I was just looking, and Nate and Nicole, I was close with them. They were on another tribe. Ellie and MJ, close with them. They were on another tribe. And so, like, really the three that I wasn't connecting with, well, Sam, which we had just voted out, but then Megan Linser, and then Garrett. And so Garrett was on the other tribe, but Megan was on mine. And whereas like Garrett's kind of like a gullible, like happy-go-lucky guy, like Megan, I knew that there was some brain behind the smiling face. And so I was like, shoot, we really didn't talk strategy besides that whole group Tigress meetup. And so I was like, will she actually stay Tigress strong, whatever. The words that eventually ended up being my downfall. Yeah, so I was definitely nervous going into it. Like I said earlier, I thought Luke was a cool guy. Just like perceiving the tribe at first, the very first week, I thought he seemed like super nice, and like just like a captain figure, you know, like a team captain. And so I was like, I could get behind this guy. Liz, kind of just like a gruff, like cave woman. I don't know. That's like, I don't know. She's just like very to the point, and she kind of scares me. Like I remember we like talked at first, but eventually you see in another like confessional of mine, like I didn't even remember what she looked like.
Tell us how you ended up figuring out what she looked like. Did you just wander blindly through Damas, or
No. I ended up, so that confessional was filmed before I met up with Luke, I think. And then I asked Luke, and I was like, Luke,
what should I look for?
Before I go, what does she look like? And he was like, to remember, she's the one with the red hair. I was like, oh, duh. Like, how could I forget?
The bright red hair.
From Braid. Like, but anyways, so I was definitely nervous. The tribe swap.
Yeah.
And I knew I would probably be fighting for my life. And genuine, so it was the food challenge that week. And one thing coming in, I think I said, like, I'll do the food challenge, I think, but like, I won't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I was like completely, that was like the one thing coming in. I was like, do I even want to sign up for Survivor? I know they're gonna have a food challenge. I'm definitely kind of picky when it comes to foods. And so, but then that week I knew I was on pins and needles. So everybody's like, how comfortable are you eating food? How comfortable? And everybody's like, you know, I'm not really comfortable, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I'll do anything. Like I put on my brave face and I was like, I'm going to take it for the team. And so I ate that spam in no time. Too bad, like Ben is like, you see in confessionals, Ben literally has a can of spam in his room. So like, of course I'm paired against him, but I did everything I could that week just to ensure that people would like me and that I could stay in their good graces, because 2-2 is never ideal. Anytime that you have to go, and so like, I don't know, I immediately right off the bat connected with Luke. We lived in the same building, and so we both just like shook on it. I don't think they put it on camera, but we both shook on it and said, hey, like, mutual agreement, you protect me this week and I protect you. Like, as long as we get each other through the week, we're good. Because obviously I didn't know how close he was to Liz at that point. But I knew I was not close to Megan. And so I knew the chances of her going behind my back were high. You see that she ended up being loyal, but I was definitely nervous. And so, I don't really remember what your question was, but there's...
No, that's perfect. So in that case, so of course we did see that Luke showed you the idol after your relationship really grew in that sense. So in the end, if it wouldn't have come to that, were you ready to flip on Megan, or were you still going to put up the front of, hey, I'm still going to be Tigress strong in this sense?
No. See, the thing is, Luke showed me the idol
Hmm.
before, I think like the day before tribal council
Yeah.
happened. And I was like, whoa, I didn't think we were that close. Like I was
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, in my head, I was expecting Tigris would have the numbers going into the merge. We're
Hmm.
just gonna eliminate all of the Gihan, whatever. And so in my head, I was like, he's just someone that I'm gonna have to work with this week, and eventually I'll pick him off. So I wasn't thinking our relationship was that close.
Yeah.
And he showed me the idol. I'm like, okay, this guy's serious. Like he wants to go far with me. Um, and at that point, I really was like fine getting rid of Megan Linzer. Like she's
Okay.
someone who scared me personally.
Yeah.
And I told Luke that. I was like, Luke, if we're gonna work together in the merge, it makes more sense for you to save this idol now, and then we can use it down the road together. And he was
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
no, but everybody on my tribe knows I have it. Like, and I don't think he 100% trusted me at that point too. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. It is what it is. But there was a confessional of me saying, like, Lucas Binkley, you might be the stupidest person ever. Whatever. I don't know. It's stupid
Yep.
confessional, but that's what it was referring to. It's just like, why are you playing an idol when you don't have to? Like, I literally told you I would vote Megan out. Um, yeah, it was nice that I could tell my tribe, no, I voted for Liz, and Luke just played an idol, so it makes
Hmm.
me like Tigress strong.
Oh yeah.
And then it like allows us to have relationships with them going forward, and they know
Hmm.
that I stuck true to Tigress and whatever. But I definitely was like willing to write Megan's name down, so it worked out in the end, because if Luke had the idol later on, who knows what would have
No,
happened.
yeah. Ended up being a better. You got the better end of the deal on that one.
Yeah.
Did you know about that second idol that Liz had also found, and that they were giving it to the other tribe at that point, or was that a complete shock whenever tribes came in and then we merged?
Yeah, no, complete shock to me. He told me, I think, that he had 3 clues to the idol.
Okay.
Um, Actually, no, he told me that later. And so I genuinely did not know what was going on with the other tribe.
Hmm.
And I saw Megan, MJ.
Yeah.
I saw her in passing one time, and I was just like, hey, how's it going? And that was before tribal had happened. And she was like thinking um, that she was going home, or
Okay.
if not, she thought that it would like go to rocks and then
Hmm.
whatever. Um, but I was not expecting, the last person I expected to see was Garagon, which was sad, but like also not a loss really. So
Yeah, for sure. It was much better for you to have MJ. But when we all come into that moment, this whole time you're thinking, we're just going to pick them off. Tigris will run the rest of the game. We'll be fine. And it comes in 5-5.
yeah,
Uh, what are the reactions within your alliance of Tigris and kind of just yours personally?
yeah. Okay, that's actually a good thing. I wanted to kind of like talk about, just because like you didn't see that much on camera.
Yeah.
Um, because you see us like meeting in the nursing room or whatever
Yeah.
with like the heartbeats on the wall, whatever.
Hmm.
And that was like kind of one of the only times you really saw us all together.
Yeah.
But I knew that in the game, the 4 people I was closest to were the 4 people on the tribe still in. And so I was like, this could not have worked out better. Obviously,
Hmm.
if we had more numbers, that would be better.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm in a good position to win. Like I went into the merge and I was like, if this rock draw goes in our favor,
Yeah.
like I think I win this game. Just because like I don't know. And okay. So you asked like when you found out initially, not even
Hmm.
like going to the rock draw.
Yeah.
I was I was pretty confident that I had enough sway with every person individually that I could like persuade people to go to rocks. And
Hmm.
so I was safe that week. So like there was no detriment to my game.
Yeah.
Um, but Nicole and Nate, Nicole and Nate, both people that like are very loyal. And they kind of, which I don't know why Nicole didn't play her idol, whatever. Um,
Did you know about Nicole's idol at all?
no.
Okay.
And so like in her defense, she was playing to survive. But I think if
Yeah.
she wants to thrive, like play it at a time that like obviously going into the merge might be too soon, just because like you don't
Yeah.
want to target on your back. Um, but I don't know. I think if there's a chance you're gonna like draw a rock, like might as well protect yourself.
Sure.
So anyways, but I knew I had sway with MJ and Ellie, Nate, and Nicole. And so several times throughout the week, Ellie and MJ came up to me and they were like, "Are we sure we're gonna go to Rocks for Nate?" And I was like, "Oh, we're sure, we're sure." But the thing is, it's funny because I wasn't going to Rocks; they were the
Yeah.
two. And so I definitely think that just through like my reassurance, and they could have made the decision any other way, but I do
Hmm.
think you see like throughout the episode, just like Ellie's confliction when they approach her with the idol.
Oh yeah.
Ellie came to me that week, and you didn't like see it on camera, but she called me, and I was the only person that she told about the idol, and she was like, "What do I do? What do
Hmm.
I do?" And I was like, "Ellie, you know this is fake. You know this is fake." And she was like, "But is it?" And I was like, "Ellie, why would they give that to you?
Yeah.
Why?" And I was like, "If it's yeah, I don't know." And so Ellie, I think I played a big part in like her not flipping. My whole family was like, "I think Ellie's gonna flip. I think Ellie's gonna flip." And then she didn't. And they were like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, like she called me and we had a big talk." And then like even during tribal council, like you see like confliction in people's faces of just like,
Hmm.
am I really gonna like put my game in danger for Nate Todd?
Yeah.
And they were like, we didn't even want him in this far. Like they were like, they could have voted him out the next week after Sam. Like they didn't really
Hmm.
like him.
For
Just because
sure.
things that they thought he did, but he didn't actually do, whatever.
Yeah.
But they were like, are we really gonna risk our games? And I just remember like mouthing the words to like MJ in the tribal council. I was just like, stick to the plan or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just the survivor word that came to my head. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I think like I was definitely shocked that it came to 5-5. But when it came down to it, I was like, I'm in a good position because these four are my people. And
Hmm.
I think that if the rock draw would have gone another way, that I think the cards would have turned out in my favor. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, they didn't. Yeah. So yeah.
For sure. So in that sense, really, you were the center and kind of the glue of Tigris, holding people who were not at all fans of each other together in that sense, getting through that vote. I would love to kind of hear. So that first immunity, you go out and win it, and it starts a streak of some sorts. Do you think that was a mistake winning that first immunity, or were you still like, hey, I'm safe through the rock draw? I at least got through that. It helped me with that sense.
Yeah. See, the thing is, I definitely would have gone to rocks as well.
Yeah.
Um, and who knows, it could have ended up not being in my favor. But
Mm-hmm.
I think people like were already beginning to like recognize me as a threat. Like I didn't realize like in the moment how likable I was. I was kind of just like being me. And then
Yeah.
I'm like watching these back. I'm like, anytime I say anything at tribal council, everybody like laughs. And I'm like, I'm like, gee, I'm a funny guy. No, I'm just kidding. But actually, like, I do think that people were beginning to realize, like, hey, we
Hmm.
can't take this guy to the end.
Yeah.
And so I do think every week that I won immunity, I do think it was necessary, especially the week against the MJ vote. I think it was
Yeah.
necessary there because they took MJ out strictly because she was the biggest threat on Tigris available to be gotten out. But
Oh
I
yeah.
think if I was on the chopping block, I 100% would have been the ninth person or the ninth, yeah, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seventh person. I don't remember what number she was, but
Who
um,
cares? Nice.
yeah. But I think, yeah, I think if people are basing like who wins a college survivor off of their immunity wins, like we're playing minute to win it games here. Like we balance coins on a spoon for Pete's sake. Like if people are like gonna vote for someone based off their like their
Yeah.
ability to like balance coins on a spoon or whatever, or like hang on a log, like I don't know. I personally am not going to vote for somebody who wins immunity.
Hmm.
Um, like I want somebody who's likable, which apparently I was. But like I also want somebody who has strategy, and like
Yeah.
my strategy was no strategy at the beginning of the game, and so like yeah, people aren't going to vote for somebody that they don't like, but in the same time, I don't think the emphasis on like the immunity challenges and the wins that I had, I don't think that was like a big thing that really needed to be taken into consideration. But I do think, yeah, I liked that it was an area that I was good at. I always looked
Yep.
forward to challenges, and I don't know, I was kind of like finding confidence in being like, I don't know. It was kind of like
Best person at minute to win it challenges.
yeah, it's kind of dorky, but like I don't know. It's kind of like you get confidence, just like
Hmm.
hey, I guess I'm good at something. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. And like I'm a tall, lanky guy, so like being able to like compete in some of these things, not all of them were physical, but like I don't
Hmm.
know. It just reassured me. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Definitely don't think it was necessary. I also do think it pinned a greater target on my back, but I don't think the target was merited. So yeah, that's what I've said.
Dawson, I know you're trying to be humble right now, but let's be honest. You probably sweep the jury in almost every form of Final Three. So I know you're such a humble guy, but we got to be real. But we can move on to the next thing. Is really that MJ vote that you talked about. How convinced were you that Luke and Nathan were on your side?
Okay. And see, the thing is, I'm like best friends with like Luke and Nathan. So like I'm
No,
not mad at them anymore. Like
for
to be
sure. Yeah.
but like thinking about that vote, I'm just like, come on, guys. Like you especially for Luke. Like I understand that Nathan
Yeah.
it I didn't realize how many people like he was having conversations with. He had so many people like coming to him. And so like I understand that maybe that was a good move for him.
Hmm.
But I think like Luke's already a big threat. Like if he doesn't sense that, then like I think he sensed it, but I don't think he knew really what to do with it.
Yeah.
But I think like working with other big targets when you're a big threat, like
Oh
that's the
yeah.
only way you're gonna have a shield. And so I do think it would have worked out for Luke. Well, 100% would have worked out for Luke if he voted for me or voted with me.
Oh yeah.
Like the reason I ended up coming for him was because he didn't vote with me.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I do think I did think that they were going to be loyal. Like, why
Yeah.
would you meet up with somebody? They like planned this meetup. Why would you do
Yeah.
that if you're not going to follow through? Like, that's just kind of so I was like expecting them. And like, I remember, I think I was like getting gas or I was doing some form of like, I was in my car and I was getting
Hmm.
groceries the night of tribal council at the MJ vote. And MJ called me and she literally told me, she was like, Dawson, I don't have a good feeling about this. And I'm like panicking because I'm a driver and I'm not a good driver. Well, I'm decent, but I get distracted and like she's calling me and like it's like I'm running late because I'm always late to everything and I was I was like, no, girl, you're safe. Like, trust me, like, why would they lie? And she's like, no,
Yeah.
I think this is the end of the line. I was like, no, like, we don't have to do anything tonight besides like follow through. Like, literally, we are good. She was like, no, this is it. And I was like, Nate's going home. And if he doesn't, like, I don't know what to say. And she's like, no, I'm serious. And so she kept emphasizing she didn't feel like it was going through, but
Hmm.
I was 100% confident. And
Yeah.
so like you see my face, like the tribal council,
Shocked.
my
Yeah.
head whipped around. It literally like like another vote appeared for MJ that was not supposed to be there. And I was livid. I was like, okay, I see the loyalty here. But yeah, I thought they were genuine. It would have been so fun to do a freshman alliance. And at
Hmm.
that point in the game, I was ready to like kind of at the merge is when like my tie with Nicole was becoming less and less just because I
Hmm.
felt you can kind of sense it. Like I've always like kind of judged people on Survivor who are like, no, I have like a gut feeling, but like I
Yeah.
was kind of sensing that Nate and Nicole were kind of wanting me out of the game. And you even
Hmm.
see like the confessional of Nate saying like other people don't want Dawson to go to the end, and I'm not sure
Oh
I
yeah.
do either. And so like I knew like he was I had a gut feeling. He didn't tell me that, but I figured that he was feeling that way. And I didn't know where Nicole stood at that point either. But MJ, like, she was somebody who was like, I felt 100% sure with. And so I was kind of ready to like change of strategy. Like, I can use Nate and Nicole if they're willing to come with me, but I'm kind of in a desperate position. It's 4-5 now. I got to make something happen. And I had like mapped out in my head, I was like, this is perfect. Like, if Luke and Nathan come, like I could eventually find another way, like
Yeah.
that
Changes the
wasn't
game.
yeah, that wasn't originally like I didn't originally see. And so I was excited, but I think it was my optimism in that kind of like blinded me from
Yeah.
the reality of like, yeah, it probably wasn't smartest for.
Do you think there was any other way that week to save MJ, working with Nate and Nicole at all, or do you think it was kind of like Luke and Nathan are my only chance, our only chance? If it's not that, it's nothing.
Well, once again, I didn't know that Nicole had the idol, so let's like
Yeah.
disregard that. But yeah, I do think at that point people recognized it was either Nate or MJ.
Yeah.
And so Nicole obviously is tied to Nate, not tied to him. She like reiterates that several times, like,
Yeah.
I'm an individual, whatever. She is. But she definitely, her and Megan, like MJ, her and MJ were not close. And so
Yeah.
obviously they're going to stick together. And like it makes sense for them to just vote MJ in that
Mm-hmm.
circumstance. So I didn't think I could count on their votes. But yeah, it's cool. It happened.
Yeah.
So
For sure. Well, hey, uh, when we thought your game was completely done, the next week you end up finding that idol. Tell us about. We didn't get to see a lot of you searching at all. Tell us kind of what the search
yeah.
was like for you, because that first night it happens, no one finds it. But then, of course, you went back, and I know personally that you were searching all throughout the game. So, kind of tell us about the idol searches and stuff that we didn't get to see.
Yeah. That's another thing that I wanted to kind of like clear up is just like one, it looked super sus. I'm like, not gonna lie, if I saw this on TV, just like somebody who's the favored one to win, whatever, like
Yeah.
that automatically like randomly finds an idol in the midst of
Yeah.
a bunch, like I wouldn't believe it. But but I will say I had been looking on campus so much in the
Mm-hmm.
rain. In the rain is like prime. So Lynchburg is called Drenchburg. It's like
Yep.
and so it rains a lot. And usually when it's raining, people are inside. And so I knew
Mm-hmm.
when it's raining, that's when I'm gonna search for idols. So I
There we
wouldn't like
go.
take my camera and record myself like searching just because like I didn't want to submit hours and hours and hours of footage of me not
Yep.
finding anything. But several times, I would say I spent over 20 hours, like several times. I would look with Nicole, I'd look with friends from my hall, and I'd like bump into people. Like Ellie and I would bump into each other looking for idols.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Ellie, what's happening? And I looked so much. And so that's not seen at all.
Mm-hmm.
But then that day that it was found, it was kind of like a misty day. And I was like, well, shoot, I know I'm going home. Like as soon as I lost that challenge, as soon as I was the only number out of the loop, I
Yeah.
was like, I'm screwed. And so I was like, my only hope is to find an idol. And my only clue that I have is the tower. And so if there's a chance that somebody didn't find it,
Yeah.
that's my only hope to stay in this game. And thank goodness Luke Binkley did not bump into that idol the
He was
night.
close.
You see the arrow pointing to where it's at. But yeah, I definitely I got lucky that day.
Mm-hmm.
I most days I would search for like hours on end, but that day I was just like an hour into searching and then looked under the bench and I'm like, what the heck? There's a package there. And so I like took it out and then I was like, wait, I need to get footage of this. So I like kind of like positioned it back up there and then I was like,
Yeah.
I found it. And it was like the most awkward shot, but it works. So
That was
it's
perfect.
fun.
No, hey, I'll vouch for you. I would say that you probably at least one of the top three people who, with time looking for the idol. Nicole, of course, looked a lot.
Yeah.
You looked a lot. Nate looked a lot, and Luke. But I would say definitely you were up there. We didn't get to see that, of course, but you did. So then we go into that next week, and that's the time where you kind of flip things on its head. You get out probably the biggest threat in the game.
Mm-hmm.
What was the final decision? I know you were kind of betrayed by him and stuff like that, but there were maybe still a relationship there to salvage. Kind of tell us what your thought process was with, hey, Luke is the one that has to go out of this Gihan.
Yeah. Which random story that you just reminded me of. Do you remember when I like stalked you on campus because I thought you were like hiding an idol?
This is good. This is good. So Dawson tells, I think through a confessional, he saw me on campus and he just follows me for, I don't know how long you were following me, to my car just in case I was going to put an idol out, which was not a bad which was not bad at all because I lived off campus. So whenever I was here, that's when I would plant idols. I would plant idols while I was on campus for classes. So you following me was actually very smart, and you could have, like, depending on the day, you could have absolutely nailed it and got an idol out of that. So that is absolutely hilarious. That I completely forgot about that story too. That's good.
That's funny. Anyways, back to the original. No. So the decision to vote out Luke, that's the question, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. I don't know where to start. Basically, I see Luke as this big threat.
Yeah.
And he's a big threat who's a threat to my chances of winning the game. Everybody sees that. I don't know. He had a big resume.
Yeah.
I also see that he had shown me an idol at the beginning of our like friendship or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought like at that point when he showed me the idol, I was like, we're in it for the long time, like the long term. Obviously the week of like the rock boat, I didn't associate that much with him. He actually like he came to me. We met up a couple times that week and he was like, hey, so what's the plan? Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I flat out told him, I was like, you're not getting anything from me. Like, I think like this week we should just work on our own. And he's like, I totally agree. But then like after that, I was like, we're going to work together again. And so then when he didn't, I was like, obviously I didn't have that pre-existing relationship with Nathan. And so I didn't feel too betrayed by him. That was that one meeting in the mailroom was like the only time that I had really like associated with him. But Luke, on the other hand, had kind of like upped my hopes, and also he was kind of annoying me at, like ever since the like merge at the rock vote where he was like, he kept like trying to convince like MJ and Ellie to flip and whatever.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to do like damage control and I'm like,
the opposite.
You're not doing that. They didn't show it, but I turned to Luke and I was like, well, you could do the exact same thing that you're telling them to do. So like, it didn't make sense. Like his arguments, Alexa's didn't make sense, but so ever since that I was like, and then he like lied to Nate and Nicole about the idol and he's just like causing drama. I'm like, this boy is playing overboard. And I was like, yeah. So those were some of my like thoughts going into it. But then like the thing for me was when he voted MJ out, that was like the last straw. And then he texted me and was like, hey, I want to apologize. And I was like, okay. So I came up to his common area. So I have like a lot of mutual friends with him. And so I went up there and two of those people were like trying to get in our confessional and stuff, and I was like, come on, just leave, like this is a serious moment. But shout out to Ruthie and Ellie anyways. Yeah, so Luke was like, hey, I just want to apologize, like it really hurts, and like you see on camera like how much it actually like hurts him. But like I thought this is all just like a ploy to get my like jury vote at the end, so I legit just confronted him and I said, oh, so now that you apologize, like you got my jury vote, right? And he was like, what? And like he was like kind of taken aback, and I was like, yeah, you apologized just for my jury vote, so you got it, congrats. And he was like, no, like I'm serious. And I was like, I'm not having it, Luke. Like I was like kind of like annoyed, which like we laugh at now because I'm all talk, like no game, like I'm not a scary person. And so but yeah, so that was like, I thought he was just like trying to get to me. And I was like, at this point, he's just playing with my emotions. He knows I'm going to be the next one out. And he wants to just like secure just in the case that he does further in the game. And so that, along with the fact that he was a very likable person and like playing the game really, really hard. Part of my ego was like, no, I'm going to be the most likable person and I'm going to vote you out of the game to show you I'm better. And so it was kind of like a revenge thing, but also like, I was like prideful and I wanted to like show to viewers, like when this eventually came out, they're like,
there we go.
Look who got Luke Binkley out. Like I'm that guy. So like, but honestly, like it was a smart move, I think. I could have probably like worked with him after that week if I had chosen to vote out somebody else. so that was like the downside is like I voted him out, but then I was like alone. But at that point in the game, I was already alone. And so it's
That's
like
true. Yeah.
I had nobody to work with. I was just like, I'm not going down without a show. And
Yep.
so I said, screw it, we're gonna do it. And so I literally just I voted Luke out, and it was smart. He was a big threat.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, yeah, I think I yeah. I didn't know the behind the scenes things that Ben was doing to kind of like plant seeds in Nate and Nicole's head.
Yeah.
So it makes me annoyed that like that my like plan was kind of like already like thought of by him or whatever. And so now I'm annoyed that like it makes it seem like he played a big part in the decision, because like I genuinely believe like without my pull and like without the idol that I have, like obviously
Oh
nothing
yeah,
would
for
happen.
sure.
But it made it seem that like part of the decision like on Nate and Nicole's part was like Ben. And I fully believe it was my sway with them that like got them. So I'm like, I wish I would have chosen somebody else, just because Ben would have been like, what if I took out like Liz or like why would I take out Liz? But like what if I did, like why like what if I did, like Nate
Yeah.
Ben would have just been like, ugh. But yeah, I do think it was smart. Like Luke's a big player. And I don't think he would have like tried to work with me past that point
Yeah.
anyway. He was the glue. He like I was debating between Alexa and him.
Mm-hmm.
And I originally said like I think Alexa is like the head of the snake or something like that. I don't remember if that's the
Yeah.
exact word, but I definitely like watching it back and like talking about it now with them. Like I know that Luke was the spearhead
For
and
sure.
the glue behind all of Gihan. So it was fun. We laugh about it now. His mom was a little bit mad at me, uh, but I love his family. So
Yeah.
no hard feelings. But
No,
yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that was the right move in that circumstance. Like you said, you were alone in that, and to make a big move on the way out really did stir things up. I
Mhm.
know you got to go, but lastly, just tell us of course, that next week you are eventually voted out. Tell us about kind of your exit and just what the whole experience was like for you.
Yeah. I will totally like wholeheartedly admit that last week I had just given up, and
Yeah.
I had been fighting on my own, like basically the entire game. Like I had connections, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't utilize the whole idea of like an alliance or a partnership. And like that's one thing like that Luke was really good at. It's just
Yeah.
like he knew where he stood with Nathan. He knew where he stood with Liz and in Alexa, and I would say like throughout it all, like I would like have connections with people. People liked me, but
Mm-hmm.
I was very much individual. And so like
Yeah.
I had been fighting the whole game on my own, and at that point I had found an idol. I had spent countless hours just searching and countless hours meeting up with people, and I'm a college student, I'm busy too. And so like
Yeah.
at that point I was just like there's no hope for me. And so I did my best. I talked to Nathan, but I had a feeling. I love how Derek like put in like I had nightmares. Like he put in like how I had nightmares about Survivor, which I'm looking back, I'm like, why the heck did this game cause me so much anxiety?
Yeah.
Uh, but definitely like I had a feeling like you see the confessional where I'm like, I have a feeling that like it could go this way or it could go this way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the last thing you see of me. But like I remember saying in that confessional, I was like, this is my swan song. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is it. And Nicole was like trying to like talk to me all day, like to comfort me, basically not to play an idol. Why would
Mm-hmm.
I have two idols? But yeah, no, I knew that as soon as like she was like like texting me and like trying to like reaffirm me that I was okay, that I wasn't okay. And
Mm-hmm.
so that week was kind of just like, it's been fun. Even at
Yeah.
the challenge, like the slingshot or whatever,
Slingshot. Yeah.
you see I get 0 points and I'm not even upset about it. Like I celebrate and I like slap Nathan on the back. I'm like, bro, like I've made it this far. I've done
Yeah.
some fun things, and it was cool. I think especially after the fact, just like the friendships that were gained from the whole experience, and
Mm-hmm.
like Luke, Nathan, MJ, Ellie, Nicole, like all of these people, like people that I would consider close friends, and like
Yeah,
they'll be at my wedding. Like I don't know. It's just like it's
that's
so
awesome, man.
bizarre how like a random college club, Survivor LU, like a club focused on a show, like
Yeah.
all makes these connections, and I'm thankful for it for sure. It did cause a lot of stress, not gonna lie. If they asked me to play again, I'd give it a lot of consideration. I'd probably say yeah, um, but yeah, definitely. I knew I was going home that week, but I'm
Mhm.
grateful for it. The
Yeah,
four jury members that were the first four jury members, we're a squad. Like those are
there
my
you
people.
go. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Super fun. I figured I was going home. I'd done a lot, and it would
Mhm.
be, if I was in their shoes, it would be stupid to take me further. So I get it. But I had a blast while playing. So
For sure. Well, he had a blast watching you, Dawson. You were awesome. You were a fan favorite. You were my wife's fan favorite.
love
She
you,
loved
Brooke.
watching you. So it was awesome watching you. I think you're definitely a game that was kind of riddled with some unluck there. If that Ellie rock draw goes differently, I do, like you said, I think you were in an awesome position. You could have made a run at the end. Uh, Great social player, great competitor. We love getting to watch you. We love to watch you play again, man. But it was great talking to you. Our next episode will be live this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you check that out. It's just going to keep getting better. Only a few more episodes to go. So keep watching, keep tuning in, and we'll talk to the next eliminated player next week. So we'll see you then. Thanks so much again, Dawson.
Yeah.
Peace.